All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the decades-long coexistence of two massive internet protocols, IPv4 and IPv6. More specifically, we're zeroing in on a critical, actively exploited security gap that's likely hiding right in plain sight on your network. If you think your perimeter is perfectly secure just because your legacy firewalls are locked down tight, you are definitely going to want to pay close attention to what we're about to uncover. Here's our roadmap for the explainer. We'll start with the reality of IPv4 exhaustion, set our baseline with dual stack, and then jump right into that massive blind spot, the IPv6 wildcard vulnerability. After that, we'll hit translators and tunnels, and finally wrap up with securing this dual surface. Let's get going. Kicking things off with part 1, the reality of IPv4 exhaustion. You know, people still talk about IPv4 exhaustion like it's some looming futuristic threat. Actually, scratch that. It is a completely concluded event. Just look at this timeline. The IONA free pool depleted way back in 2011. And by 2019, all 5 regional internet registries literally had 0 new standard public IPv4 allocations left. The well ran completely dry. So present day, we are fully living in an era where protocol coexistence isn't just an option, it's mandatory. To really put the scale of this adoption into perspective, today, roughly 45% of Google users are reaching services over IPv6, almost half. And major ISPs, think T-Mobile US, are already operating massive IPv6-only access networks. The transition is here for sure, and it is happening at a massive scale. But hey, here's the catch. We can't just flip a giant switch and turn IPv4 off. Why? Well, think about legacy operational technology, industrial embedded devices, or those massive enterprise applications that have IPv4 hard-coded right into their DNA. You absolutely cannot rapid replatform those overnight. Because of that, we're locked into a prolonged period of coexistence, measured in decades, not just a couple of years, where both protocols absolutely have to run side by side. Which brings us to Section 2, Dual Stack, our new architectural baseline. So, what exactly is dual stack? Honestly, it's exactly what it sounds like. You're running complete, independent IPv4 and IPv6 stacks at the exact same time on every single node. And the protocol selection? It's simply driven by DNS. If there's an IPv6 record, the system uses it, with a quick fallback to v4 if needed. There's no messy translation happening in the middle. Packets just route end-to-end natively. It's an elegant foundation, really. But, and this is a big but, while the intent is this perfect translation-free communication, the operational reality is a bit of a headache. Sure, you preserve those end-to-end semantics and drop translation overhead, but you also have to deal with dual addressing, which completely doubles your IP management complexity. And for you security architects listening, this is the absolute kicker. It literally doubles your policy attack surface. You essentially have 2 distinct networks running right over the exact same wire. Now we're zooming all the way in for part 3, and this is the big one, the IPv6 wildcard vulnerability. I want you to look really closely at this symbol on the screen. It's just a double colon. It's known as the IPv6 socket wildcard binding. Honestly, it looks completely harmless, right? Like a minor typo in a config file. But in a dual stack world, this little symbol acts as a silent master key for attackers. When an application uses this wildcard, it actually forces the app to bind and listen on both its IPv4 and IPv6 interfaces simultaneously. And here is where it becomes a massive, massive problem. Because of this wildcard binding listening on both sides, any security controls you've applied strictly to your IPv4 path get entirely bypassed via the IPv6 path. Think of it like a building with 2 front doors. Your security team is spending all their time and budget putting guards, metal detectors, and cameras on the IPv4 door. But because the application bound to this wildcard, the invisible IPv6 door is left completely unguarded, propped wide open, just waiting for someone to stroll right through. What makes this so much worse is what we call the scanner blind spot. Most enterprise security scanners are rigidly set up to target known IPv4 address inventories. They are relentlessly checking that locked IPv4 door. Meanwhile, those services listening on the IPv6 address are bypassing your vulnerability scans entirely. To add fuel to the fire, the IPv6 stack is enabled by default on Linux, Windows, Mac OS, you name it. You could have a heavily hardened, strictly monitored IPv4 service that is simultaneously and silently exposing full access to the open internet via IPv6. It's a wild oversight.
Okay, let's step back slightly for Section 4, Translators in Tunnels.
Alongside dual stack, we have translation technologies like NAT64 and DNS64. These allow IPv6 only clients to actually reach IPv4 servers by synthesizing DNS records and translating packet headers. Sounds great, right? Well, it introduces some pretty severe risks. Attackers can exploit the DNS64 DNSSEC gap to synthesize entirely fake, non-existent records. Or they could pull off a massive denial of service attack simply by flooding the state table, breaking internet access for all the IPv6 clients. They can even spoof addresses by hiding behind the standard NAT64 translation prefix. Basically, every single time you translate, you're introducing a network choke point and a major manipulation opportunity. And tunneling? Just as treacherous, if not more so. Tunnels encapsulate one protocol inside another to cross incompatible infrastructure. Take an older one like Teredo. Attackers used to abuse its bubble packets to effortlessly bypass firewalls for internal port scanning. Malware like Conficker loved this, setting up command and control channels over UDP port 3544 simply because legacy firewalls ignored it. Even with modern ISP tunnels like DS Lite, an attacker sharing an IPv4 address can exhaust the entire shared source port pool in as little as 14 seconds via connection flooding. Boom, a complete denial of service for everyone sharing that address. All right, let's bring it all together in our final section, securing the dual surface. Take a look at this real-world threat matrix. On one hand, old nightmares like Teredo carry a very high bypass risk, but thankfully they're effectively deprecated. Good riddance. But look closely at our baseline, the foundational dual-stack architecture. It carries a high firewall bypass risk entirely because of that dual surface and the wildcard binding vulnerability we just unpacked. And unlike Teredo, it is absolutely not deprecated. It's permanent. So I want to leave you with this absolutely critical question to take back to your teams today. Are your heavily invested, hardened IPv4 defenses being completely ignored and silently bypassed by an invisible IPv6 wildcard shadow network right now? It's a scary thought. It is definitely time to check those socket bindings and deeply audit your dual-stack firewalls because this protocol transition isn't coming. It's already here, and it's routing your traffic. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning what's under the surface of your networks.